So we're away at the Gabba, round one. The reigning champs go at it against the Sydney Swans. Goods gets first touch. Can't get a clear kick away. Black does though. 39 touches in the grand final of Black, and the first for the season for Brisbane. It's at half forward for the Lions, but Maxfield gets the ball for Sydney, handballs to Kirk. And he'll get the free kick for a push in the back.
And Tim, you suggested Mal Michael might get Barry Hall. That's the case. Hall playing outside the forward 50. O'Loughlin playing at full forward.
Kirk, brilliant season last year, and delivering to Jude Bolton, who was third in the best and fairest. He beat some good ones to finish that high. He goes for O'Loughlin. White has him and takes him cannily out to the boundary. Oh, brilliant work by O'Loughlin, but straight to power. Any soccer champion, I think, would have been proud of that. That was a lovely sleight of foot, but Brisbane keep it under control.
Keating, unusual to see him so early in the season. Usually comes into action about August, but he's there. Turnover. Goods short to Williams.
Yeah, bad kick by Leppich. And will Williams have a go at it? His best kick could certainly put this through. He would have to kick it 56, 57 metres. And Brisbane have just swamped numbers back.
Goes into the pocket. Oh, it's a beautiful kick. And it's got away to me.
It was a beautiful kick because Goods came from behind. He didn't come from the goal square. It was a really good play. It looked as if Goods wasn't going to be involved in any of the action. He ran from the 50-metre line. And you can see Williams waiting for it, and then he bolts forward. And Keating will have to look out for that one.
Adam Goods had a fair 2003. It suggests All-Australian best and fairest in a Brownlow. That's not bad, Robert.
Oh, my word. And he will get better. With his confidence now rising, he will only get better as a footballer.
Just 24 years of age. For the first score tonight. Just the point.
They were the most accurate kicking team in the competition by a considerable margin last year. Lee Matthews predicted that it would have to come adrift at some stage, and they've started 2004 with the set shot behind. Johnson, and now Michael out in the back pocket. Johnson so potent, of course, on the kick-in. Did the job brilliantly all last year for Brisbane. Michael deciding to punt long. It's not the greatest looking kick, and Black not able to mark it. Kirk there in the thick of it. Black stealing it from him. They're about 15 all at the moment. Keating cocked it high. And the big fellow, who's become a grand final specialist, will take the free kick. He's got White out wide, virtually on the boundary line. And White running off O'Loughlin can now set something up for Brisbane. A front half without Brown and Lynch. Big challenge for the rest tonight. The veteran Hart, who won the Norm Smith in their first premiership year. For Bradshaw. Got clean hands on it, didn't hang on. Crouch and Acker now. At it for the first time, and Ackermanis did pretty well. Now McGrath, that might bounce all the way. Oh, good effort by Leaping Leo. And it's one behind a piece.
We're waiting for Leaping Leo for 6 months, haven't you, Robert, to get into the action?
Oh, yes. Isn't he one of our favourites?
Kick out's good. And there's the first touch for young Paul Bevan playing his first game. 19 years of age. Now in the big time. Gets the hurry up.
He's going to have to kick it long to Goods. Oh, it's a shocking kick.
It is a mongrel, but it's a beautiful pass. He'll accept that, Craig Bolton. So it's all's well that ends well. There's Bolton. The leads from O'Loughlin. It's a strong one, and it's a good mark. And in front of White. So O'Loughlin started strongly. Had some knee tendinitis problems during the pre-season.
It's interesting watching Sydney. They're not prepared to kick it to a contest. They are trying to find a teammate out in a bit of space, so they're just waiting, being very patient the way that they play.
And they're patient here as Hall goes away from goal.
While all this happens, Tim, Brisbane get their numbers back in defence. Now, they have taken that ball back 60 metres. They've maintained possession, but Brisbane are just covering everything up forward.
That's a bad miss by Matthews. He's made life difficult for himself. He has numbers around him. It's a sloppy hand pass too, but Fosdyke's got it now. Now Williams, still well outside range, but that's good delivery. O'Loughlin not quite able to hang on.
It's going to be a tough job for Darryl White playing on Michael O'Loughlin, because already O'Loughlin's led him to the ball 3 times.
So the Swans pressing, still no goal. Hall and Michael, a couple of serious heavyweights these. And Hall wrestling his way to the front. Brisbane with numbers, whole stages, White and Scott throw in the best result they could manage, but they've worked it more than a kick clear of goal.
And this boundary throw in pretty much half forward for Sydney. Michael Voss has dropped out of the contest, gone forward for Brisbane.
Kirk at the bottom of the pack. Keating fed out the handball. Here's Goods. That's a good kick into space. And gratefully accepted by Barry Hall, who's within range.
Well, he's just got to go back and settle down. There's Michael Voss. Michael Voss sitting across the half-forward line. And again, a short pass to Nick Davis. I'd be amazed if he gave it off. I would think he would have a shot. And so he should. He's one of the more accurate kicks in the team.
So Nick Davis, the former Magpie, now well and truly a Swan. 117 goals so far in his 95-game career. As Robert said, one of the most accurate kicks going around in the competition. Shouldn't have a lot of trouble from here. Swans are away.
Subdued reception for the visitors at the Gabba. They won here last year. They'll be treated with great respect.
13 marks to Sydney in the early minutes of the game. They're just playing possession football. 5 to Brisbane.
Sydney by a goal. And looking the better side, the more settled side in the early part, up by Martin Ellis with Matthew Nichols and Scott McLaren here at the Gabba. Keating doing heavy work. Lappin arriving hard, but it could be a Swans takeaway yet. Voss, though, crashing through Bolton and opening the door for Lappin. And Brisbane are dangerous. But they don't have their key targets tonight. Barry, quite deliberately, I'd have thought, takes it to the boundary, and Ackermanis was letting the boundary umpire know. But Sydney come out with a free kick. Off for that. That was a moment earlier when Michael Voss made his physical presence felt. Now Barry probes into the corridor, and Maxfield, the skipper, is away. Lovely incisive delivery to Davis, who's got it again. Further out, testing shot from maybe just a centimetre or two inside 50.
A brilliant bit of play by Nick Davis. I hope we can see it. Just the nudge at the right time to push Copeland out of the way. And we'll see the long Maxfield kick, the little bit of a nudge that Davis gave just to take him under the ball. And, gee, he is a confidence player. He's one of those players who can get 6 or 7 kicks a game, get 2 or 3 goals from it. I'm just waiting to see him get the 20 kicks a game. That's what he needs to do to really become a player.
That's a lovely kick. The Swans have their second. Well, they have a diverse forward line with many potential targets. Hall and O'Loughlin, of course. Goods floats down there. Davis and O'Keefe for dangerous sharpshooting smaller forwards. And Davis's kicking, of course, is a treat.
On 2 goals to Davis. That is the margin. Swans in front in enemy territory. Hart, quick hands to Black. Inside 50 go Brisbane. And they'll have a throw in. About 45 out from the Lions goal.
Well, Craig Bolton in picture there, number 6, played with the Brisbane Lions. Didn't get too many games in his period here, but gee, played a very good season with the Swans last year, so he'll be keen to show his old teammates just how much he's improved.
Goods over the top, the tap, and it went straight to Voss. In heavy traffic, got boot to ball, an ineffective kick, and we'll have another throw in. This time it's about 25 metres out from Brisbane's goal.
Martin Pike, 4-time premiership player on the interchange.
And remember his last quarter against Sydney in that preliminary final last year. He was one of the men who turned the game Brisbane's way.
No, going for all money, weren't they, just about?
Goods has put on 3 kilograms over summer so he can go with the Giants like Keating. And he's certainly holding his own.
Saddington under pressure. Fed out a good handball in the end to Bolton. Can't keep it in. So a bit of a stalemate at the moment.
Interesting matchup this. Brett Kirk, number 1 tagger for Sydney, playing on a half-forward flank on Nigel Lappin. Lappin, of course, one of the playmakers for Brisbane. I think that's a good move by Paul Roos.
The Swans, the last 11 marks. Brisbane have got nothing going yet. And they won't take a mark in here. There'll be a ball up inside their 50. But they haven't seriously threatened yet. Save the one snapshot from Ashley McGrath, which Leo Barry was able to force through. Now Goods and Keating. Goods with that leap. Went early and is pinged.
You've got to look at the footy. No, you've got to look at the footy.
Goods protesting to Matthew Nichols, the purchasing officer from Melbourne, but he's not buying it.
What do you think, Rob?
Well, I think he's a bit stiff, Goods. He jumped early, no doubt about that, but got his hands on the ball. Umpire said you've got to look at the footy, not at your opponent.
So a chance for Keating, who for an unfashionable looking player has some very good skills, and he can do it from here. He'll kick from just inside 50. It's a pretty good effort, but he's just missed. Crowd getting a little excited, but considerable ado about nothing. Swans by 11 points.
Let's have a look at it.
What would Big Nick and Polly Farmer and those greats of old think of that, Rob?
They'd laugh. Because in those days it was body and block and arms and elbows.
Yeah, that's a great mark taken by the man in question, Adam Goods. What a great athlete he is. And his kick finds Saddington.
And this fellow with the footy, Jason Saddington, he has to step up and become a dominant player in this Sydney lineup. He's played 125 games. He's been playing AFL for a long time. No good being a fringe player at this stage of his career. He's got to stand up and be a key defender.
Maxfield has the football. Robert Ball's on the long run already. Round one.
I just think it's time they need him. Shawble's out of the side. They just need Saddington to go from an ordinary player to a top liner for them to go to the next level. Sydney being very patient the way they handle that ball, Sydney.
Williams finds Crouch.
20 marks, Sydney, 5 to Brisbane.
Again, taking his time, Jared Crouch. Decides to go backwards to Saddington. And he goes short to Maxfield, so it's a game of checkers at the moment. Maxfield's off. Bangs it long this time. His target is Hall. Wrestles with Michael. Probably the strongest man in the competition, so that's not an easy task. Lappin little kick out. And as far as Matthews. And he finds Williams. He'll have a ping from here. He loves these. He gives it plenty of air. It's going close. And it's touched right on the line for a point.
Smart bit of play by Williams. Played on instantly because he knew if he went back, took his time, he probably wouldn't make the distance. 48 metres out, couple of steps, gave him a chance.
Just got a little more elevation, I think, that he would have really wanted, and lost distance perhaps. Johnson to Michael. But it's been pretty much all defence for Brisbane in the early part. Sydney looking the more dangerous, the more accomplished side. Mal Michael, muscle man defender now, and a very accomplished one. Now White, who's seen plenty of campaigns for Brisbane and is going one more. Knotting, and over the top, and too wide, called out. 3 to Sydney. Uncharacteristic Brisbane error. O'Loughlin's ball. A long way from home, but Sydney working it around again. Kirk once more. And Sydney racking up the marks. O'Loughlin too far out off the instep. That was clever. A brilliant kick, and Davis can line up for number 3.
Talk us through the game plan, Robert.
It's pretty obvious Sydney are just not going to kick the ball long to a contest situation. Brisbane work to get numbers back in defence, so they outnumber the opposition. Let's have a look at this Michael O'Loughlin kick, which is coming up. It is just a ripper. makes out he's going to kick long, pulls the kick out the corner of his eye. He saw Nick Davis. Brilliant football.
Can Davis finish it? Oh, that is pretty good. That's a 5-iron, and he has Sydney's third. Their game plan is being executed with patience and precision, and it's working perfectly.
Well, it is, Tim, and you just have to think that maybe a move has to be made on Nick Davis. Copeland struggling, 3 goals to him. Lee Matthews persisting at the moment.
Some worrying moments for Lee Matthews in this first quarter. 3 goals to Davis, and that is the margin. 18 points in favour of Sydney. Hart bangs it back inside. Brisbane's attacking 50, but a courageous mark taken by Leo Barry, backing back. Kirk's on short. Nothing fancy or free-flowing about this game, is it? It's effective for Sydney at the moment as Crouch marks in the midfield. Again goes the short option and finds O'Keefe.
It'll be frustrating the Brisbane players, no doubt.
White on the hands and knees, gets it to Black. Over to Hart. Now Brisbane have got a bit of space to move. He finds McGrath. Ashley McGrath at half-back. Goes long, looking for Brennan. Slapped forward by Hart. And a throw in.
And we see Ackermanis is being taken by Maxfield at the moment, and you can see little Sean Hart there. Crouch has been taking Hart. Ackermanis in picture has just had the one disposal to this part of the quarter. Now Crouch is back on him, so they're mixing it up.
Swans by 3 goals. Nick Davis has the ball. And the Swans take it away again. Williams, Kirk, and now Maxfield. Bounce not particularly kind, but he's good enough. On his wrong side, though, the kick wasn't great. And Chris Johnson in the way.
Well, this man is the playmaker in defence for Brisbane, and O'Keefe's opponent has desperately been trying to take him away from the action. O'Keefe sacrificing his game for the good of the team to take Chris Johnson away. He's a gun player, Chris Johnson.
Searches long for Keating. Oh, got the foot in the backs. Went high. Pike now off the bench, but couldn't keep it in. So again, Brisbane foiled. And Johnson had to kick long to a contest. Keating not quite able to win it for him. Ball is on now for Sydney. Davis, the goal sneak up forward. And plenty of toe off the mark as well. Maxfield almost marking that in front of Ackermanis. Does well. Bird off Ackermanis. Did very well to O'Keefe. Awkward half volley. Wide now for Brisbane. Now Scott. And he was hoping for Johnson. He missed it. And O'Loughlin arrives, and Sydney have the numbers now. O'Loughlin bides his time, and this has been their plan. This is cool, calculating stuff. But that wasn't so good, and there'll be a throw-in.
Just a great interception there by Michael O'Loughlin. We see Goods in picture. He's gone down to full forward. Lepich, his opponent. So whilst ball rucks, it'll be Goods and Barry Hall alternating between centre half forward and full forward.
White grabs the football. Handballs into space. Black. Wheels round on the left, then the right. And the kick's good as he finds Pike. Now Martin Pike, now 31 years of age. 4 flags next to his name. Taken number 9 back in the 1992 draft. Has he given some headaches and some value over the years. Kick, oh, back of the pack. Here's a chance for Boss. Tishes off, McRae goal. Took 19 and a half minutes, but the Lions have finally got one on the board, Robert Walls.
Well, it took a while, didn't it? And Sydney just couldn't afford to let that ball come over the back of the marking contest. It did, and unselfishly Michael Voss gave it off to Craig McRae. McRae started on the interchange bench, so too did Martin Pike, and Lee Matthews just had to change his structure because it wasn't working.
And having given it off for the Lions' first goal, Voss has a breather. He will have to be managed right through this year, you would think. The impact he's able to have, well, we'll have to wait and see. Charman in ruck brings it down, but straight to Williams. Michael in good position here and gets the free kick. Parked that ample frame in just the right spot. Now running for him is Scott. Is the weight right on the kick? Doesn't look like it. Bolton. Matthews' second fumble by him already tonight. Nervous start. And gone. Paid for his own error. Stuck over the ball. Bolton cribbing a couple of metres on the mark. Brad Scott probes forward for Brisbane. Roberts Thompson wanting to get it out in a hurry and not get stuck with it. Danger here for Sydney. They don't want to give their hard-won advantage back. Pike. Wayward. Free kick to Sydney. And it will be Heath James to take it. Player who has waged a tremendous fight against injury to have himself here tonight.
Well, James has been playing key defence on Bradshaw, so big responsibility for the youngster.
Just his 8th game of AFL football over a long period of time. Ball. Looks for Bolton, too much on it.
30 marks to Sydney and 11 to Brisbane. They're heading for a world record, Sydney, with their marks if they get over 120 for a game.
Let him run, let him run!
Sharman won that one comfortably. Ackermanis runs onto the ball, gets it now. Kanaka weaves some magic, left foot kick. He's offline.
And a change of opponent on Nick Davis. We can see Ashley McGrath has got that job. Started in the forward line for Brisbane after 3 goals on Copeland. The move's been made.
I fancy Brisbane's success has won some previously unconverted fans who have become very excited about 2 behinds they've kicked thus far this evening. So the game hopefully continues to grow here. Now Swans once again just looking to work it around at either end of the ground. James back across goal to the first game of Bevan. Boy, they're well drilled on this. They're plan to not kick to contests and not give the ball up easily.
And the Brisbane crowd are starting to boo Tim. They're getting very frustrated. They want to see their players have a fair crack at the footy, and it's just not happening.
It's not exciting to watch, but it's working pretty well. Although James has made a mess of this. McRae not able to do anything with it. Bolton getting it to Matthews and back to Craig Bolton. And Sydney getting off the hook, but doing it the hard way. Lepage with the flight. Well, that took courage. And Johnson's there to mop it up for Brisbane. Now Notting. Late in the quarter. And a goal to Brisbane would be a terrific result if they could find one after really lowering their colours for much of the term. Now Simon Black. And Brennan from the centre. Still a chance. He threw that. And he's been seen. He did it right in front of the umpire.
Well, he'd be pretty frustrated, Tim, after dropping the sitter and then in frustration just flipped that ball up. And I would think that Paul Roos would be thinking with less than 3 minutes on the clock, not so concerned about us scoring, that being Sydney. Let's make sure we can limit Brisbane to just that 1 goal for the quarter. If they can do that, it'll be a fantastic victory for them in the first quarter of this game. Because they're playing the game on their terms, Sydney.
Bolton finds Goods. And Goods up to 6 possessions for the game. Again, a pinpoint pass. It finds Luke Ablett for his first possession in the game.
Well, their skills have to be very good to be able to play this brand of football and succeed, because once they start missing targets, turning it over, the confidence can drop. So far, so good.
Johnson at the bottom of the pack. Oh, the handball comes out now. There's a chance for Hall. Can Sydney get their fourth? He's missed. Lost opportunity there for Barry.
Not happy, I suspect. Jared McVeigh was the one who conjured the ball out. It was a brilliant piece of play. It's just come on. Now Brisbane away here on the rebound. Lepich, long ball, but wide ball. Fortunately for him, it bounced inside the line, so the Lions will keep it in the last couple of minutes. Just 2 goal kickers in this first quarter, and one end of the ground, Nick Davis, all 3 for the Swans. And at the other end, McRae has kicked Brisbane's solitary 1. Goods and Sharman, danger here for Sydney, but Matthews takes it away. Fosdyke will be under pressure from Notting. Did it well. Now Williams and the Swans can build an attack of their own. Michael got hands onto it and Hall interfered with him. Now Michael allowed to play on, even though he was 4 to the mark. Lepich again unloading long. Bradshaw the target. Sydney hold up Saddington in the midst of all of that. So in the last 75 seconds, Brisbane with the ball about 30 metres from goal.
And Goods coming back to lend a hand to James. Goods doing the ruck work, ball off the ground at the moment.
Sharman fed it out to Caracella. McRae tries to socker. Now Barry. Good tackle by Bradshaw. Swans under pressure. James. Oh, slick hands. Gets them out of trouble. Fosdyke just bangs it away. Lepich is the only man there. Good pickup. So nodding back to Lepich. Now just bangs it long and hopes for the best. Sharman underneath it. The big fly was Bradshaw. Won the ball to McRae. To the goal square. Brennan from the side. Goods tries to swat it through unsuccessfully. The Swans are under pressure, but again they're good enough to get out of trouble as Williams punts it long, and the kick's a beauty. It finds Roberts Thompson. They can get away here, Sydney, perhaps pinch a goal. He goes to the 50. Ablett, handball's on. Here's a chance for Crouch. Open goal. Threads it through. Great play, Sydney. Take that, Acker.
A couple of seconds left on the clock, and it just looked as if Brisbane were going to score a goal, but we can see here Williams gets that ball, puts it out towards the wing. Roberts Thompson playing at centre half forward. He knows he's got to play a free forward, get the ball forward. Ablett, quick hands, and Crouch, I would think that would be the most satisfying goal of his career.
And Michael Voss with a slightly furrowed brow. There aren't enough seconds left for either team now. That is a very big goal for the Swans. They had much the better in the first quarter and a 3-goal advantage, well deserved. 4-3 to 1-3, Sydney on top.
Sydney playing the game on their terms, and it's obvious what they are. Keep possession, chip the ball around, put it to a leading player, don't kick it to a contest, deny Brisbane the ball, and it's working very well.
So quarter time here at the Gabba, round 1 of the AFL season for 2004. And the first break, it's Sydney 4-3, leading the Brisbane Lions 1-3.
Sunday, it's on. Port Adelaide clash with Essendon at Amy Stadium.
Crowd like it.
The finest leg power will hit hard, but the Bombers are making amends. Port Adelaide versus Essendon, Sunday on Fox Footy Channel.
You can't afford to buy air conditioning from anywhere else but Harvey Norman, your air conditioning specialist. We have all the top brands like LG, Toshiba, Kelvinator, Samsung, Carrier, Mitsubishi, Panasonic, Convair, DeLonghi and more. Split systems, window wall models and portables. We've got the lot all on display and sale now. Let our trained staff help you to make the right choice. Get a red hot deal now. Plus no deposit, no interest and no repayments until 2005.
Go Harvey Norman, go!
Oh yeah. Oh, goody da. Diddy doggy. Yeah.
Crown Premium Light. Some drink it because they're responsible.
What?
Others just love the taste.
When the siren sounded and scores are tallied, how did your team shape up on the weekend?
Biggest winning margin are on our 60-point winners.
Fox Footy Channel's expert team has all the answers on the winners, where you'll see the brave, the bold,
What a start for his career for the Saints!
the bizarre,
Look, I don't care about the final.
and the brilliant.
Club's season spiralled into hopelessness.
The winners, Sunday night.
Has given some headaches and some value over the years. Kick, back of the pack. Here's a chance for Boss. Dishes off. McRae goal. Well, that was the only moment of glory for the Brisbane Lions in the first quarter, because the Swannies are off and running in season 2004. They lead by 18 points at the first change. 4-3 plays 1-3. Williams 10 touches. Black is the leading possession getter for the Brisbane Lions. But 4-3 plays 1-3, and Nick Davis 3 goals in that first quarter with their unusual style of play, Robert.
Well, it certainly was, Steve. They just played possession football, Sydney, and they were confident. They took their time. They were patient. They weren't rushed into it. A couple of times the umpire said, hurry up, move it on. They were prepared to kick the ball backwards. You mentioned Paul Williams had 10 disposals. He also took 5 marks in that quarter. And I would think that Lee Matthews and his coaches would be saying, well, we just have to clamp down on Sydney.
Let's go to Christie and Brad.
There's no injuries for Sydney. Now, they can use their bench until the 15-minute mark of that quarter, and then they used it 7 times in 10 minutes. They are most likely to promote to the work of their mainly and Jason Garner.
Well, Rob?
All right, now there's a worry for the Brisbane Lions, and that is Luke Power. He came off late in the game, and he's trudged off into the Brisbane rooms with ice underneath his left knee. He looked pretty despondent too, so we'll just have to see how bad that injury is.
Thanks, Brad and Christie. Rob, what do Brisbane do? How do they counter this style of play?
Well, I think for a start, they'll look at Paul Williams and say, well, we've just got to sit somebody on Williams. He's the playmaker. Brad Scott has him at the moment. They've moved Lappin into the centre bounce, Voss also, so they put the experienced players in there. But every Brisbane player has to be directly accountable for his opponent. They can't play 10, 20 metres off. They can't zone off.
So we start this second quarter. It is the Swans in front by 3 goals. Goods against Keating. And they both have a fresh area.
Drag him down. Good for your kick.
Keating's bemused. He's given away a free kick and the Swans are away. Fosdyke running onto it as O'Keefe. Did he keep it alive? No, he didn't. Well played, Johnson. Just knocked him off the ball as he kicked it. So Darryl White in the back pocket. A lot of the sting taken out of the Gabba crowd here at the moment.
Lovely little chip kick. Just pulled the kick, saw Voss lead into space.
Voss goes long. Goods and Keating. Oh, it's a great mark taken by Keating. Well done. Off to Caracella. To the 50. Fall of the ball is Pike. So is McRae. He's dealt with. So it's a free kick coming back to Craig McRae, who is the only goal scorer so far for Brisbane. He's got a chance at his second to be pretty much right on his distance, kicking from about 51 metres out.
Well, Craig McRae's been a fine player for Brisbane over a decade now, and sure, he's a goal sneak, gets ridden into the ground there. He's a goal sneak, but he also has another role in this team, very important role, and that is to lock the ball into the forward line. He's the little bloke who's expected to do the tackles and the smothers and the desperate efforts that keep the ball locked in.
Big wind up from Craig McRae. He's just offline for a point. So Sydney 4-3, Brisbane 1-4. It's the Swans by 17 points.
Craig Bolton to bring it back in for the Swans. Roberts Thompson giving him something out in the back pocket. Eventually does go to the contest. Goods and Keating. And And a throw in the end result out of that. Sydney by 17.
At the other end of the ground, Tim, you can see Chris Johnson taken right back out of the action by O'Keefe. Johnson only had the 2 disposals so far in the game.
Goods with the big leap, but Keating with good position. Now Lappin hasn't really been able to assert himself yet. Copeland did well to get it onto his boot and land it where he did. Lepich was in great posse, couldn't hang on. Saddington did well. Bolton now. Jude Bolton. Williams. Matthews back to Williams. Now. It looks like a Brisbane free kick. Downfield. Downfield. So Matthews' ball. A relayed free kick. And again, the Swans take their time. There's no flow about this game at all. And it's not the prettiest to watch, but the Swans are doing it very well. And Davis, who kicked the first 3 goals of the match, has it again. He won't kick one here. He's a long, long way from home. Now Fosdyke. Crowd very quiet. Not a lot to be enthused about for the locals thus far. O'Loughlin just taken under it by White. Goods arriving. Not quite able to keep it in.
And Lepich has been moved to full forward. James, his opponent. Lepich starting at centre half back. So a lot of changes have been made by Lee Matthews in the first 35 minutes of this game.
Hall pitched it out of the ruck, got it to Kirk. His left foot snap misses 1 point. Nevertheless, well played by Barry Hall. And when Brisbane are behind here at the Gabba, it really is a quiet place to lay.
Well, this is classic taking the crowd out of the contest, isn't it? Which is very much in the Swans' interest.
Johnson's kick finds Lappin, who in turn finds his skipper in Voss. Looks to be moving pretty well. To the wing and Bradshaw, to White. So the Lions running the ball up. Notting. Now goes the long option. Arms around him, holding him!
I think he did pretty well, James. He was in the back position and worked to the front. And the umpire deemed a free kick, but he did work to the front and got the advantage.
They've got a loose man out here as Crouch. He's got away from Ackermanis. Fosdyke's got the ball. He ignores him. And he goes for O'Loughlin with a great kick and a good mark. In fact, it was a free kick in the end of O'Loughlin. And providing some strong leads, Mike O'Loughlin. Too far out to score. Again, showing plenty of patience.
The crowd hate it. They absolutely hated the Brisbane supporters.
Now the short pass finds Crouch.
Well, Crouch now playing on Ackermanis. You can see Ackermanis standing the mark. Ackermanis the 1 disposal to this stage of the game. That's Crouch's 5th.
Back to Goods. Who feigned a handball. Now goes sideways. And finds Bevan. Paul Bevan in his first game. Now to Barry.
There are 34 players in Sydney's forward half.
Barry goes short. And finds Bolton.
Will he use this strategy all the time, Rob, or will it be against class teams like Brisbane?
I don't know, Tim, but certainly tonight they'll use it because Brisbane with just the 1 goal on the board after 35 minutes of footy, so you would persevere with it.
And the long kick went to Hall, but he couldn't hang on to it. We got to throw it in the Swans' forward pocket.
Not much he can do about it at the moment as Sydney monopolise the ball, and their kicking to position, their kicking to leads has been so skillful. Davis now turning it over perhaps. Copeland, that was a dodgy looking hand pass, but he got a result to Black. Here's Ackermanis, but it's too far for him as it floated on. McRae, Pike, Ackermanis now, and they're in the clear. Here comes Lepich, and he's got it.
Brilliant kick by Ackermanis and a fine lead by Lepich. He needs to go back and kick a goal, certainly within kicking distance.
Well, they could strike a psychological blow here if they score from one thrust, and Lepic has done it. A big goal. It was all Sydney. They monopolised the ball at the other end of the ground. Brisbane with a rapier-like thrust and the brilliant left foot of Ackermanis have worked it to Lepic for a result.
And he did well, Lepic. Played on, opened up the angle, got plenty of pace up before he kicked that, and kicked that every bit of 60 metres, put it over the fence in the end.
Jason Ackermanis made something out of nothing there. Beautiful pass and helped set up the goal to Justin Lepic. Swans now by just 12 points. Voss once again in heavy traffic. Black ran into a wall of Swans. Roberts Thompson tackled by Notting.
No opportunity.
And you'd have to say at this stage, we've watched Ackermanis and Crouch closely. Certainly the tactics of Crouch have been quite fair, quite legal. You see there, a couple of metres off him, just a little bit of touch as the ball comes down in the contest.
And another stalemate here. No, umpire's pinned. Whoever is at the bottom of the pack.
Two men diving on the footy. He lays a legal tackle.
Well, I'm having difficulty working that one out. But anyway, Goods has got it. The lead's on by Hall. Hart with amazing courage. Put his head over the ball as Big Bad Bustling was lining him up. And that was great stuff from Hart. And we'll have a throw in. How was that, Robert Walls?
Well, you'd expect nothing less from Shaun Hart, and he made sure that he spun when he got hit. You don't just meet him full on, you get a little bit of spin in the collision, and that saves you. So it certainly saves him a headache.
Hart is his middle name as well as his last one. Ackermanis, that was clever and constructed. Scott not making a real mark so far tonight. Now Voss. And Lepic is on the lead again. Now there's another whistle out of nowhere, and it's a holding free kick, and it's going Sydney's way.
Yeah, Martin Pike held on.
So it's Saddington's ball, and he has a man running for him, and it's Williams, and he'll be dangerous here. He likes to run, and he likes to kick long. Hall hasn't been able to snare too many thus far. Well done, Michael. Scott. Now Black. And Lepic again charges. Oh, what courage from Barry.
Super courage. Didn't have to go for that ball. Really didn't have to go for it, but he went. Super courageous player, leaping Leo.
Well, he's nearly been killed on a football field once, and he was quite prepared to put his life on the line then.
That's going to be one of the marks of the year, doesn't it?
Well, that'll be replayed and replayed, certainly in the Sydney Swans camp.
Here's another chance for Hall, and this time he takes the one-hander. What a tussle those two are having, Hall and Mel Michael.
Line.
Barry decides to go short and finds O'Loughlin.
Well, O'Loughlin playing on Darryl White, and White just expected the ball to be kicked long to the square, and he just zoned off the 5 metres, paid the penalty.
Yeah, you're right. Yep.
So this is not beyond O'Loughlin. Decides to do the team thing. They put it to the tip of the goal square, and it's a rush behind in the end. Swans 4-5, Lions 2-4, 13-point buffer in favour of Sydney.
Johnson forced to go short. Now Michael. And Bradshaw. Swans goalless in this quarter. They're still leading by 14 points. They were the most efficient, or second most efficient team in the comp last year. Playing this sort of game, I doubt that they will be. Goals will be hard to come by. Jude Bolton caught over the ball, and there'll be a bounce.
Tim, I think these tactics that we're seeing from Sydney are specific. We'll have a look at that courageous mark. Gee, how good was that? I think they're just specific to playing against Brisbane. I don't think we'll see Sydney playing this sort of football against most other sides. They just can't afford to let the ball go long into Brisbane's defence, where Brisbane outnumber teams and then run it out so effectively.
Good Shepherd O'Loughlin for Craig Bolton. Nothing's got him, but very well done by Bolton. Davis dangerous again. Now Roberts Thompson. O'Keefe running for him, and he's got it. Yes, he's got it. It bobbled off. He got it again just before it hit the ground. And the left footer, Ryan O'Keefe, from inside 50, is a genuine chance here.
And the ball was taken really well by Nick Davis. He was tackled, but just able to get that handball out to Roberts Thomas, who in turn on the left boot was able to find O'Keefe.
Middle stages of the quarter. This for their first goal of the term. He's hooked it. And he's lucky to score. Swans by 14, and Voss rested again. Will this be the story of his season, I wonder? Just managed through match after match.
So Johnson to do the kicking in. His target is Bradshaw. That's a good mark. Excellent kick from Chris Johnson. Bradshaw didn't let him down. Off to Lappin, who's been pretty quiet by his lofty standards. To the 50. Pike, he's claimed the mark and he's been awarded it.
The Martin Pike's been moved to half forward. And Saddington his opponent, but Lappin starting to come into the game for Brisbane. Quick, flat, low kick into the forward line.
Strong mark from Bradshaw.
He stood his ground well.
So Martin Pike kicked 96 goals in his 213-game career from just outside 50. He's drilled it. Beautiful kick, Martin Pike. All of a sudden, it's an 8-point ball game.
Well, it's 2 goals to Brisbane in this second quarter, and Sydney yet to get one, and that's just the importance of the O'Keefe miss. And when the ball's kicked in, they're able to take it from one end of the ground to the other, Brisbane, and score that goal without Sydney able to getting a hand on the football.
It's game on. Paul Roos seeing a useful lead eroded now. It's back to 8 points. Goods not flying into Keating that time, just waiting down, letting Keating have first go at it. Kirk turning it into a game of rugby. Another ball up. 2 goals to none in this quarter. Again, Voss there.
Yeah, Ackermanis, Tim, has been moved to the goal square. He's down there alongside Lepich. Crouch has gone with him all the way.
Keating beating Goods there on merit. Barry knocking it back. Hart and Maxfield, and Hart turned it over. And this is danger now. Williams, long and accurate. A goal. Paul Williams, always dangerous from just about any range. And that was a lovely kick.
Just a good belt forward. Desperate tackle by Maxfield. Frees the footy up. And Paul Williams, I would think, with Goods, the most important player in that Sydney lineup in this first half.
Paul Williams' 14th disposal was a beauty. A long goal. There's the Swans extend their lead back out to 14 points. They go into attack again. Michael leads Hall for the ball. To Caracella. Back to Michael. And his short kick finds Lappin. Williams has got the game high 14 touches. Goods has got a dozen. While no one yet in double figures for Brisbane. Caracella.
Ball on to do the ruck work for Sydney. That leaves Goods as a forward.
And absolutely nothing to kick to. So he goes for the big man in Keating. In fact, it's Sharman, my apologies, and comes off in the end. Takes a strong mark against ball. So Sharman He's got Copeland free, but the kick skews off the side of the boot.
Advantage!
Free kick to Sydney, advantage paid. Roberts Thompson's found Goods. Goods has got some space. He might go for home here. Look at the acceleration. He's just run down in the nick of time by McGrath. Well done by McGrath. Save what appeared to be a goal. Still in play, Maxfield. Centering kick. Ball from behind. Forced to fist it down. Scott. It's still in play. Ablett. Now Davis. Concedes some ground. Back to Barry. Now Roberts Thompson. Kirk. Into the pocket. Goods. Can't take it. Almost. White. And he'll clear for the Lions. But for how long? Now Barry again. Tucks the Sherrod under the arm. The old 1-2. Keeps it alive to Roberts Thompson. Now the handball comes out to Davis. Can he spin around and kick his fourth? He has. Brilliant.
What a magnificent passage of play. It's not getting the reception it deserves, Tim, because 98% of the supporters are Brisbane. Let's have a look at this. Ball taken on the wing, and Leo Barry just backs himself to Kirk, back to Barry, quick handball to Roberts Thompson, quick handball again, and Nick Davis with the vision and the smarts to dodge and put the ball on the angle and put it through. That's his fourth goal of the game.
Nick Davis has paid for it, but so have Brisbane, because 2 on the trot to Sydney have given them a 20-point lead. Davis, 4 goals, the biggest contributor of the night by a space so far, but he'll have to have a break. That was an amazing goal. It was pinball parlour stuff, and suddenly the inhibitions of this night seem to have been shed. Now Brisbane with the chance. Hadley on. Nowhere to go for it. This is McVeigh. Now Ball. Bevan doing well. Now Ablett and Sydney's youngsters are making their mark here. Barry Hall.
What you've got to like about Sydney, Tim, is that in close, in heavy traffic, they are still prepared to back themselves with their quick handball. They're not flustered. They don't kick the ball blindly. They try at every cost to keep the ball in the possession of a teammate.
Well, they went for a long time in this quarter without a goal. They've kicked 2 quick ones, and Hall has missed this time. The margin is 21 points. Sydney on top. The second quarter well advanced at the Gabba.
So it could be a significant moment in the night for the Swans. It looks like early diagnosis there. Do you reckon a groin?
Looks that way, doesn't it?
Yeah. Let's go to Christy Malthouse.
No, Nick Davis is off. He's copped a cork in his right hip, so they're just working on that now. But he did look like he was in a bit of pain when he limped off.
Well, at least we're in the right part of the body, like a quarterback.
Thank you for day job, hey? So White. This ball, and he'll be happy to see it over the line. And Charman just rides him into the turf for a bit of fun.
There is that commentator's nightmare where you say he seems to have hurt his head. Oh no, it's actually his ankle.
And that's how he did it. Landed on his hip more than anything, didn't he?
Wouldn't be hurting at the moment. He's watching it go through, but a couple of seconds later, yes.
Black. Beautiful handball to Notting. He shows great acceleration. He might go all the way here.
It's a wild kick and just sneaks through for one behind. Running too fast.
It'll be a long time, Tim, since Brisbane have kicked just 3 goals in the first half of a game at the Gabba.
Just a few statsmen around the country, and women perhaps will be diving for their books, and we might get a phone call shortly. Craig Bolton to bring it back. Sydney by 20 points. Saddington flying in front. Well trapped by Charman, quite agile for a big man. Dangerous ball here for the Swan defence. Bob should nail this. He has done so. Brisbane still there.
Let's have a look at the crumbing of Simon Blake. You can see him in picture. Just treads a little bit of water, waits for the ball to hit hands, goes to the front where it normally does. Defensive spoil by James. He mops up, balances himself, and puts it straight through the middle. Well done, Simon Blake.
Black gets one back for Brisbane. It's back to 14 points the difference in favour of Sydney. Black's up to 11 disposals.
Play on!
Ball the knock to O'Keefe. And in the end it's Fosdyke. In fact it was McVeigh who went to half forward. And there's a free kick against Robert Thompson here. And advantage is paid. So McGrath. Trying to do it to 50. And there's a little win against Jared Crouch. Ackermanis to the goal square. Brennan got leg. Here's Pike. Great tackle. And the Swans out of trouble. This is Fosdyke. Over the top to Saddington. To Crouch. And his kick's good.
See, they did that well, Sydney, bringing it out under real pressure.
Jude Bolton to McVeigh, and he goes to half forward and finds Powell.
Mark Powell giving Hall a chance. One out with Michael. Test of strength. Williams running for him. Brisbane with numbers. Barry gets it to Williams, who fumbled. Oh, costly fumble. Johnson now. Managed to slip the Hall tackle, but well done O'Keefe to hold it in. There's some high quality stuff amidst stop-start football of a frustrating variety.
The game has freed up, no doubt, in this second quarter, Tim, and I think that'll be to the advantage of Brisbane. But have a look at that time in possession, 49% to 31, and that is a huge difference.
Sydney by 14 and pressing, but Darryl White has the answers for them here. Notting with Craig Bolton, who got his hand onto it. Hart, wrong side for him. Hand pass, hopefully, and the free kick
Bring it back.
is going Sydney's way. Crouch's ball. And we revert to a bit of stop-start again. Leaping Leo with Acker bearing down. Powell has the charge at this, but came from behind. Now he's got it. Now Hall's got it. Now McVeigh's got it. He might have done it. He has done it. First game of Jared McVeigh, kicking a late second quarter goal, and a very small throng of excitable Sydney fans enjoying that.
Well, Leo Barry again on the burst off half-back. I think Barry Hall's really come into the game in this second quarter, and just there, the handball and the block. Not only did he give the handball to the young man, he then put the block on just to give him a little bit of time and space to finish off.
Bit of the shake of the head from Nick Davis. Doesn't look good for him at this stage. 4 first half goals. Looks a bit depressed on the boundary line. And Jared McVeigh gets his first goal in league football. In his first game, the 18-year-old. Here's a quick rebound from Brisbane. Speaking of exciting talent, Brennan has put one through at the other end. So he's talking about young talent. There's another young talent. And he made no mistake. Yes, so much of the footy tonight, Robert Walsh, but he made sure of that one.
No, he's been on and off the ground, but Lappin moved into the midfield after playing at half-back first quarter. Quick hands there by McRae to free it up. We saw Barry Hall do it just a minute back, and the young fellas on the end of it put it through. So the game is starting to really unfold. Sydney are not keeping possession as they once were. And I'm just keeping an eye on Ackermanis and Crouch down in that goal square, and there's a bit of niggle and push and shove going on for the first time.
Well, full forwards have been copying it like that for years. Here's Fosdyke for Sydney. There's Sydney with numbers out there. O'Keefe is a left footer. Takes it away from goal. Now Roberts Thompson, and now O'Keefe. And that's a good kick to the hot spot. Barry's got it. Strong effort.
It's a super kick to a dangerous spot and an even better mark. 4 or 5 up in that marking contest, gripped it like a vice. You can see him coming back. The spoil by Carousella not good enough. Mel Michael caught under it and starting to really come into the action is Barry.
And should not miss this. He doesn't. Swans still in control. Ball's first of the night. More importantly, as Robert Walls has said, he is starting to flex his muscle and become a very influential player. Against Sydney, working the ball methodically. Eventually to O'Keefe, out on the boundary, and using his preferred side, he was able to set it up perfectly, but it did require a strong man and strong hands.
Sydney's lead once again, 20 points. Paul gets his first for the night.
Ackermanis in for this centre bounce. Crouch goes all the way with him.
Carousella gets there first. Got Johnson in support. Manages to get past O'Keefe quite comfortably. How can he use the football? He can. Beautiful kick. Hits Charman on the chest. Gives it to Voss. Voss out wide looking for Pike. Great pass.
He's a beauty, Martin Pike. You could play him full back, you could play him full forward, wing, rover, anywhere, and he will get a kick. Just a good old-fashioned footballer who knows how to read the play, where to position himself, and again we see him coming into the action to help his team when they're struggling.
He's got one this quarter. He'll be kicking from 45. We thought his reaction would be something like that.
It's the quest for 100 career goals. Remains a little elusive. He's on 97. Craig Dalton out to James in the back pocket. Just seconds left now.
In the first quarter, Sydney had 36 marks. In this quarter, it's 22.
They lured him into playing on there as Hart stood back on the mark. Brisbane want to try and win the ball again in these last seconds to score a goal. Kirk, though, wins it for Sydney. Roberts Thompson again doing heavy work. Fosdyke pumping it forward and opening the door for Powell. They're dangerous once more. Effective hand in there. Johnson rode the Maxfield charge bravely. Wonderful stuff. Tremendous valour. And now McGrath clears, but not for long. Well, a very interesting half of football comes to an end. And Sydney, who finished third last year, have taken the honours against the defending champions, and they lead by 19 points.
Half-time at the Gabba, and it is the Sydney Swans leading the Brisbane Lions by 19 points.
Turning it on big time. The Kangaroos meet Adelaide at the MCG. If it's anything like their last clashes, look out.
Don't go anywhere.
Kangaroos versus Adelaide, Sunday on Fox Footy Channel.
So 10 seconds left and the crowd going, Gibbo, Gibbo, 10, no, I'm flying down the sideline, I'm flying down. And they're like, Gibbo, Gibbo.
Tooheys new, what mates do.
Think innovation. Think convenience. Think flexibility. Think design. Think Power Station, the world's first modular cordless appliance system. Power Station transforms kitchen appliances from plug-in standalone units to an integrated station capable of operating 3 cordless appliances at once. Power Station also enhances kitchen safety by eliminating tangled cords and double adapters through the use of a single power point. Think Power Station. Think Harvey Norman. There's a store near you.
Weeknight, 7 o'clock, MASH.
Well, please don't sardines tonight?
Sardines?
My tent. I'll bring the oil. Henry, you're not going to endorse this idiot's application, are you?
That's major to you, Captain.
Henry, you're not going to endorse this major idiot's application, are you?
Forever Classic Hawkeye.
You're my kind of girl, Nancy. Drunk.
Forever Classic MASH. Weeknights, 7 o'clock. Fox Classics.
Fox Footy Channel. Experience totally unique access to the latest news, views and exclusive interviews.
At Fox Footy News, we put AFL news first.
Live weeknights, catch the breaking stories and have your say on White Line Fever.
This is your show, your chance to quiz the big names in the game.
Can't get any bigger. And live every Monday night, take a seat for the in-depth interviews on the couch. Get the real stories behind the headlines.
You'll be the first to know at Fox Footy.
Fox Footy Channel.
Not far away from a start to the third quarter, and it is the Sydney Swans at the moment leading the Brisbane Lions by 19 points. Davis has got 4 goals, but he went off just before half-time injured. We'll report on all the injuries and what's happening on the bench. Let's go to Christy Malthouse and Brad McEwen.
Yeah, Stephen, very disappointing news from the Lions rooms. Luke Power has a strained medial ligament. He didn't look too happy when he came off. He had the ice straight on the knee. He's gone to have it assessed, and as I say, a strained medial ligament, so he's looking at weeks on the sidelines.
Nick Davis, not good news for him. He's actually just limped past us in bare feet with an ice pack to put on his right corked hip, and he's said that he won't take any further part in the game, which is a blow for him and for Sydney, because, as he said, he did kick those 4 first-half goals.
Well, that's a massive blow. Well, he's been the match winner so far, so that's a huge plus for the Lions, even though they've lost Power.
Yes, he was so effective in that half-forward area for Sydney. But these things happen, and 2 quality players off, 1 for each team.
And remember, Luke Power was equal second in Brisbane's best and fairest last year. He's an important player. Voss won it by a vote from Black and Power, who were equal second, just 1 astern. The second half is underway. Sydney by 19 points. Pike playing up forward and proving handy to Black. Here's a chance. Notting, blazing, missing. Margin 18.
And Brisbane have started with Charman in the ruck and Keating at full forward.
And Goods also looking a bit proppy there.
He's going off. That is not a good sign. Just wonder if that happened at the centre bounce. And that's the worry of playing Goods in the ruck. Now, he's more of a key position flanker type player, but he's good enough to lead. But that's the worry, is the knee and the ankle injuries that can come from ruck play.
So there could be a big swing in the match if Goods is in trouble. We'll get to Christy Malthouse shortly when she finds out what's wrong with him. Bevan, the first gamer, has it in the back pocket for the Swans. Good kick to the wing. Now Williams, he's been a star. This is his 16th disposal. Shows great acceleration. Has a long shot at goal, but only 1 behind.
He took that ball on the wing. I reckon he ran 25 metres. He had the 1 bounce. And there we see Adam Goods getting looked at. And this is bad news for Sydney.
Appears to be an ankle, although has to take a guess without him. Lost confidence.
Leave me out of it. It doesn't look great.
Right there, right.
So they're trading injuries and dueling behinds at the moment. Johnson. McGrath out of the back pocket. Oh, that's a lovely soaring effort by Roberts Thompson. Boy, he was very impressive in his debut season last year, and he's going to be a fine player for them. Maxfield's kick, though, is disappointing and falls short. Johnson in the way.
He's just starting to come into the action. In the second quarter, he was finding his feet, and such an important player to them.
Voss, Carosella and Hart. This is a good build-up by the Lions. And the veteran runs and kicks well. And Big Keating can line them up.
Well, that was the move that Lee Matthews made. Normally the 2 big ruckmen alternate on and off the ground, but Shawnee Hart backed himself, kicked it long. I got a feeling Craig Bolton thought he'd get a bit more support from a teammate running back. You just can't rely on that. You have to be up there on your opponent. In the end, he was able to mark without any opposition whatsoever.
Keating, a more than adequate kick from just 25 metres, splits them. puts the Lions right in touch. It's back to 13 points.
And we'll have a look at it again. Hart breaks through. Bolton behind Keating. Saddington doesn't go hard enough.
So margin back to 13 in favour of the Swans. Ackermanis, quick kick out of the pack. The chase is on. Black. Here's Brad Scott to Voss. Back to Scott. There goes long, looking for Charman. Good effort. Now Pike. Got hard in support. He goes looking for Bradshaw. In front was Crouch, did well. Little toe poke by Ackermanis. Jason Ackermanis has kicked it out. Beauty! There's some Ackermagic for you. Lovable, Haley Robert Walls, he can play.
Oh, he can play okay, and we've certainly seen that in grand finals. He does well enough there just to keep the ball alive. A little bit of a soccer kick, puts it in space, then uses his brilliant speed to gobble up the football. And have a look at the supporters in the background. He's brought them to their feet.
All the flair and flamboyance that you love or you hate was on display.
Just a nice little toe poke to free the footy up. And the fans love it. Well, this is a good sign.
Chrissy Mulhouse.
Adam Goods is running along the boundary line. They have re-strapped his right ankle. He still looks a little proppy, but he looks like he's desperate to get back on the ground too. Crouch
fights back against Ackermanis by winning the ball out of the middle. Chris Johnson, though, in the way. Voss, who marshalled his troops after the half-time siren, and sooner read the riot act, or at least let them know where it was all going wrong. And Brisbane have responded with 2 goals, and the margin at 7 points is smaller than it's been for a long, long time.
And we'll have a look at Goods. Oh! That's how he twisted that ankle at the opening bounce of the third quarter.
Matthews doing well here. Crouch again in the thick of it, and again. Carousella now, though, for Lepic. And Brisbane control the footy. They seem to have refound their composure and touch. Hard over the top. Numbers here with Sydney. Leaping Leo. Ferocious competitor. Unflinching. And does it beautifully to big Barry Hall. Now Maxfield on the preferred side. Could have gone for home. And perhaps it was ringing in his head that he could have done, because he changed his mind and went short.
He did. He should have had a shot. He was 45 metres out on the burst.
Scott.
By McLaren taking control there as White ends up with the football. So Pike.
Just get the feeling that Sydney players are starting to panic a little bit. Lost some composure from what they had in that first half.
So Goods back on.
Yeah, this might be the difference. If Goods can start to win some football, I think he's the player who lifts the confidence of his teammates.
He got the tap. Matthews got caught high. Umpire let it go. Carousella. Finds Voss. Now the Lions just starting to crank things up. Only 7 points the difference now. Scott. The greatest of kicks. Camped underneath it with a fair bit of courage, taking to Marcus Williams.
He had to go for it, didn't he? It was coming right down on top of him.
Good stuff from Paul Williams. O'Keefe has the football at half-back. Looking for Barry. Speaking of men with courage, and he's having a very good game, Leo Barry. Kick wasn't fantastic. Michael. Soccer. O'Keefe to Maxfield. Now Bevan. It's chopped off by White. He plays on straight away. So bit of stalemate at the moment as Black marks at halfback.
Just a couple of disappointing kicks by Bevan and Maxfield into the forward 50 as they've attacked. They really haven't given their forwards any advantage.
It's a tug of war now. That's a courageous mark taken by Saddington. Standing his ground well and truly there. Sydney by just 7. Brisbane throwing everything at them now. Now Maxfield.
What's that for, Bossy? What's that for?
That was a very short 15.
First time, Tim, in this third quarter that we've seen them play the possession footy.
Just one the arm back.
A relay ball here going to Kirk.
Against Voss, who was throwing his weight around.
So another slow build-up here from the Swans. And again, the majority are on one side of the centre, and many of them are up in that attacking 50. And again, Sydney quite undeterred. Just chip the ball around. Maxfield now. Sitting it up for Barry Hall. Just couldn't quite find it. Looked for O'Loughlin, couldn't find him either. White, well down the half. And Brisbane ride the storm.
Uncontested possessions for the quarter. Brisbane 26, Sydney 15. A complete turnaround from what we saw in the first and second terms.
Ackermanis is just a nice little bump into Jared Crouch's ribs. Umpire saw it but let it go. Throw in. Black tried to find Ackermanis unsuccessfully. Hart. Well done by Bevan. Matthews. Now Kirk. Hasn't got much to kick to, so he's forced to go short. And Goods nonchalantly takes it with just the one mitt. And for Hall, who's a long way out from goal. Leads on from O'Loughlin, and White was caught napping.
He was, and not for the first time.
He plays on straight away. So O'Loughlin has a shot at the goals and misses to the left. First score of the night to Michael O'Loughlin is a behind. Started to heat up that little battle between Ackermanis and Crouch.
Chris Johnson has favoured the little chip all night out to the back pocket. McGrath gives it back to him. He can run forward if he wants to, but he doesn't want to. He bides his time. This is extraordinary. He hasn't played on. He hasn't crossed the mark. And looked as though he might have trotted over it. Now Michael.
Well, we're seeing Brisbane play a little bit like Sydney played in that first half. Just keep possession of the football. Don't kick it to a contest and show some patience.
Oh, Scott's kick cut off by O'Keefe. Was it 15? No, it was ruled not. And there'll be a ball out.
Oh, Lee Matthews not at all happy.
It's moments like these that are the reason why he didn't want this season to start. All the old tension and stress come back. Voss.
Fantastic in close is Voss.
Lovely hand pass, Johnson to Hart. Brisbane whip it away again. Bradshaw now. Good turning circle. The goalie's guarded. 1-on-1. Keating. Can he win it on the ground? He'll have to win it in the air in the ruck contest. Just 8 points in it. Brisbane looking to draw to within a kick.
So it's going to be Keating against Goods. Goods, with the superior mobility, did it nicely. Now to Barry. To Kurt. Over the top to Goods. Good build up by the Swans here. Barry has a bounce. Decides to handball on to Matthews. Back to Barry again. Now Williams. Got it over to Fosdyke. And Fosdyke's kick wasn't all that flash ball. Great strength from Mal Michael.
He just continued on too long with the tackle.
Needlessly, Steve. He done the job.
Yeah. dispossessed him, didn't he?
He had a strong tackle and then continues on with it, and the correct decision.
Maybe he didn't realise he'd lost the ball.
Yeah, sure do need a goal.
Barry Hall's kicked 2 goals, 1 this evening. He's about 55 metres out, smack bang in front. Perfect view there. That's just a point. 1-3 to Barry Hall.
Goalless this quarter, Sydney.
Luke Power watching on. Could be out for a few weeks with that medial ligament injury.
Sydney by 8. This is tight. Tense and tight. And it's another short ball from Johnson. Down the middle this time. Michael pumping it to Leppich, who just misjudged it. It was one of those mongrel kicks and it floated on. Goods really is the general, although that kick wasn't as good as most of his. And it opens the door. Black, Carosella, back to Black. Brisbane dangerous here. And McRae can line them up.
And the man who set it up was Nigel Lappin, and he won't be credited with a kick mark or handball. It was just a clever attack and deflection as he went for that bouncing ball on the wing. Knew he couldn't take control of it because he would have been tackled, so he just pushed the ball forward into space for a couple of his teammates to clean up.
To cut the margin to just 3 points. In fact, it's 8.
And there's Voss, who has really helped in this early part of the third quarter. But you can see he's puffing pretty hard. He hasn't got 4 quarters in him. He'll be used sparingly.
Williams kick finds Bolton. That's Jude Bolton. Good. The handball. From Ablett back to Bolton wasn't good. Consequently, they have a throw in. Swans by 8. Past the halfway mark of the third term.
Arms are up.
Jarman against Roberts-Thompson. Big leap by Roberts-Thompson. Is snared by Scott. To Leppich, who, considering he's been out of football for quite some time, has done a good job tonight. Bevan, been impressive, the youngster. Looks for Hall. Michael, the big fish from behind. Front and centre was Carosella. Under pressure, went to ground. McGrath. Oh, somehow finds Black. Stubbed his toe as he kicked it. Brennan. And he finds Brad Scott.
So Brisbane look to build again. In the Pike direction. Well done, Saddington. Williams. Bevan again. Hasn't quitted himself well. Maxfield to Kirk. Messi. Oh, solid stuff, and Powell really felt the shoulder down the middle.
He's a kid hit in hard, didn't he? Well done. And we can just see Chris Johnson hasn't got an opponent. He's just dominating play across half-back. He's directing traffic back there. Paul Roos has to make sure that Johnson has an opponent.
Ackermanis in the midst of it. Another ball up.
Let him go, let him go.
So beyond the halfway point of the term, Sydney's lead has been cut from 19 to 8. Simon Black way ahead among the Lions.
And have a look at that. Barry Hall comes up to make it at least a 1-on-2 situation, but Sydney need to get an extra player in their forward line.
Get him up. Play on.
Jason Saddington. Good handball finds Kirk. Swans into attack again. O'Loughlin against one. Whistle. And it's going O'Loughlin's way for a hole.
Pull on the jumper.
Ball wants it long. O'Loughlin's 55 out from goal.
Well, in the goal square, he's got Jason Ball on Leppich. A 1-on-1. He's tucked it up for him. Can't get it.
Oh, Crouch. It's a high ball. It might be Hanson. McQuarrie. Oh, McGrath. Spoiled and then hit the post.
Not quite with the force that Lee Matthews did many years ago at Windy Hill, but that would have hurt.
Well, let's have a look at the desperation of Ash McGrath. Bang. Well done.
I don't think Leith will judge him harshly for the fact that he failed to snap the goalpost. I think he'll be very proud of his effort. Johnston again. It's behind for behind at the moment. Now Lappin. Swans still goalless in this long third quarter.
Well,
Carosella
just kicked 4 behinds in 18 minutes, Tim.
And Keating. Something of a target for them in this quarter. Sits it up for Pike in good position and lovely clean hands. Distance probably just beyond him here.
Well, Saddington had to do better than that. He's a taller player than Pike, and Pike just used his nous just to edge him under the football.
Well, he might have a go at it. The margin 9. The veteran for career goal 98. Not quite. Still alive. Now it's a behind, and the margin is 7. 8.
Swans bring it back into play.
Finally, Sydney have pushed a player up into their forward line to make Chris Johnson accountable. That player is O'Keefe. O'Keefe working to get right back towards the goal square.
2 goals won this term to Brisbane. Sydney just the 3 behind. To the wing. Lapper to the back of the pack will mop up. Has a look, decides to have a bounce. Kick didn't quite find Notting. He can't get it back, but too high, and Nottingham's up the football. Now Tim Notting. Through centre half forward position. Long kick, beautiful kick. Pike on the line! Goal! Well, here come the Lions. Just 2 points of difference now in favour of Sydney.
2 things. The long kick by Notting is a lovely long kick, and Saddington again outmarked by a shorter opponent. Second time in 2 minutes. And Paul Roos would be filthy.
The margin is 2 points. Is there a pattern emerging in these Brisbane-Sydney encounters? At 3/4 time in the preliminary final at Telstra Stadium last year, it was 8-10 to 8-7 Brisbane's way. The Lions broke it open in the last quarter. It's 8 goals apiece right now. Ablett works the ball to McVeigh. Sydney need a goal, and O'Keefe could be the man to do it for them. He has a strong and normally pretty accurate left foot. And this is the moment. They need Ryan O'Keefe to stand up. 3 goals to none this quarter. The locals love it. He's missed by a lot. It doesn't score. The Sydney fading away after such an outstanding first half.
Leppich to do the kicking in. Keating underneath it. Ball is the spoiler. Back of the pack, Crouch and Ackermanis. Crouch got there first. Keating tries to bust his way through the pack. Powell, little one to Kirk. To Bolton. To Ablett. Inside 50. Here's Goods. Didn't have enough support. The Lions had numbers back, and McGrath has hit Johnson on the chest. Now he'll find Ackermanis. He's got away from Crouch. Ackermanis has got Lappin on short. Kicks longer for Pike. No, Lappin got there in the end. And Lappin can have a shot from here and put the Brisbane Lions in front. Good hard running from Nigel Lappin.
Well, their game plan has just broken down, Sydney. We saw them in the first quarter. 36 marks in the second quarter, 27 marks in this third quarter, 10 marks. They have just completely fallen away from that possession style
game that got them in front.
Now the three-time All-Australian will line up from 45 metres out on a 45-degree angle. He stabs at the football.
You're exactly right there, Steve. He stabbed at the football, and that's probably the one flaw in his game. Player who's played over 200, been All-Australian, triple premiership player, is his goal kicking. And that's one of the reasons. He just doesn't kick through the footy when he's having a set shot.
Good kick by Craig Bolton. Spotted Leo Barry clear. Sydney becoming somewhat desperate for a goal for a team that still leads. Johnson, though, to Pike. Slatington this time arrives, but Pike might beat him on the deck. Can he go all the way? The big double back, the big wind, the big kick, the big wind.
The big miss.
Scores a level.
I'll tell you what he does. He loves a goal, doesn't he? He really enjoys having a shot at goal.
He loves to compete too.
All locked up at 8-11 apiece. Finding some voice as the Swans put it back into play. And that's a great mark at half forward. Taken by Keating. This is off to Ackermanis, who's beautiful on the left foot. Perfect pass. And Brennan will have a shot at goal. Pretty tough angle from about 40 metres out.
Gee, they've just dominated play in this third quarter, Brisbane.
He showed some vertical spring here without anybody to climb on. My golly, he's an athlete.
He's a second Darryl White. That's Darryl White when he was 17, 18 years of age. Just came to Brisbane from Alice Springs. Of course, now Darryl playing in the back pocket. A veteran.
Brennan's got one. And that's the way it stays. But that point puts the Lions in front.
And the crowd love it.
Quarter to come after all of this. What a struggle this has been. 8-12 to 8-11. At three-quarter time in that preliminary final, it was 8-10 to 8-7. Sydney working. Kirk. But the pressure of playing this game for 4 long quarters against a champion team is proving too much. The cracks are appearing. Matthews.
Sydney with just 2 players in their forward 50, Barry Hall and Jason Ball.
Under a minute and a half left. It'll take them that long to reach the centre the way they're moving it here. Kirk. It's not to criticise it because it stood them in good stead through the first half. Keating in the midst of it again. Couldn't quite haul that down. Here's Darryl White. Older legs now turning it over. Matthews for Sydney. Can they score a late one? Here's O'Keefe, who let them down with a disappointing kick just a few minutes ago. In the last minute.
While he's held onto the footy, all of the Brisbane players have pushed back.
Fosdyke getting himself into bother and out of it. And then a wayward kick from Michael to swallow. And Sydney's last chance perhaps might have gone begging here. And perhaps on the rebound, Brisbane could be dangerous. Ackermanis, there's no one more dangerous. Pike, one out with Barry. Good tackle by Leo. Prizes the ball clear. And the Swans will survive their moment of peril. And perhaps, they won't turn it into something. And Jared Crouch is furious. Evidently, the entire Sherrin just crossed the line.
Didn't want to give it up, did he? Lions by a point. Feeding the tap.
Leo Barry being moved onto the dangerous Martin Pike.
So that is three-quarter time. And a great quarter it was for the Lions. They kicked 3 goals, 6. And the Sydney Swans could manage just 4 behinds, Robert Walls.
And I think that pretty much sums it up. They were twice as good as Sydney in that quarter, twice as many scoring shots, and it looked as if the Sydney game plan was just breaking down. And, the number of times they got the ball into their forward 50, Sydney, and it was just a pretty ordinary kick that didn't help their forwards one bit. We saw Chris Johnson come alive across the half-back line. Michael Voss, the first part of that third quarter, was just terrific in and under. And up forward, Martin Pike gave them a target. So did Big Keating, who took that mark and kicked the goal early. But you just get the feeling that perhaps Sydney have run their race. However, let's go back to last year's preliminary final at Sydney, when we thought that Brisbane had run their race, and Brisbane came back and won that game comprehensively. Perhaps Sydney can do it here.
So 3/4 time at the Gabba in round 1. We have a big game on our hands. It's just 1 point the difference. Brisbane 60, Sydney 59.
Big games deserve big names.
Hope you're enjoying it right around Australia here on Fox Footy.
Clinton Gribus, Jared Healy, Wayne Schwass, Tippity Cherry. Fox Footy's Sunday commentary team are ready for the biggest season ever.
Dangerous. Poke. Devastating.
Today, the best of the West when the Dogs meet the Eagles at the Telstra Dome. Western Bulldogs versus West Coast Eagles. Today on Fox Footy Channel.
Think innovation. Think convenience. Think flexibility. Think design. Think Power Station, the world's first modular cordless appliance system. Power Station transforms kitchen appliances from plug-in standalone units to an integrated station capable of operating 3 cordless appliances at once. Power Station also enhances kitchen safety by eliminating tangled cords and double adapters through the use of a single power point. Think Power Station. Think Harvey Norman. There's a store near you.
The rally car that the new Corolla Sportivo is built around, with a VVTLI engine that generates 141 kilowatts of power. The adrenaline could take a while to wear off.
When I was a player, I took the game pretty seriously because the result determined your week. Joy if you won, anguish if you lost.
They're in front. The Swans lead by 2 points.
These days the game's moved on. It's big business. It's multiplied many-fold. But I still love to watch the players because the scrap remains the same. The contest to the final siren delivers the same result. It's a choice between heaven and hell.
Jared Healy, footy fan, part of the Fox Footy team.
Forward. He goes, looking for Bradshaw. In front was Crouch, did well. Little toe poke by Ackermanis. Jason Ackermanis has kicked it. Yes, it's a Saturday night special here at the Gabba. Just 1 point the difference at 3/4 time. Brisbane 8-12-60. Sydney 8-11-59. Davis 4 goals all in the first half before going off injured. Pike is the only multiple goal scorer for the Brisbane Lions with a couple. Williams 19 disposals, 18 for Kirk for Sydney, while Black has 19 for the Brisbane Lions. Robert Walls, it's Brisbane with all the momentum at the moment.
Well, it has been in that third quarter quite disappointing by Sydney, especially after they started so well. We look at the fresh legs there. Well, Power can't come on. He's injured, of course. Hadley. Ablett hasn't had much game time. Ball sharing the ruck work. We see Nigel Lappin in picture there. He has actually gone forward. He's played half-back, midfield, and now playing across the half-forward line. Brett Kirk going with him.
So here we go. Brisbane leads Sydney by 1 point. 1 quarter left. Can Sydney turn the tables tonight? They'll get first use of the ball. Bolton's ball.
Become a tough player, Jude Bolton. Really like the way he's developed.
And now here's Goods. He's got away from everybody, and he can run in and perhaps ram it home and give the Swans a great start to the quarter.
And he just escaped after that free kick was given. He cut out the back door, did Adam Goods, and Jamie Charman, the ruckman, His opponent stayed in the middle of the ground and stood the mark for Bolton. Now, that should never have happened. That is too easy a goal to Sydney.
Goods has put Sydney back in front. 65 plays 60. Brad McHugh and Christy Malthouse.
Paul Roos was very animated in that break there. He was a very positive though. He said Brisbane's midfield is just starting to get away. We need to shut that down and just get back to doing what we were doing in the first half.
A very positive mood in the lines. He's going out of his way to tell these players, come on boys, let's just keep going from here.
So the Lions have got it in their forward pocket. Lee Matthews. Very animated.
Yeah, and Charman, the ruckman for Brisbane, staying a kick behind, and that's because Keating is playing at full forward. So Goods to ruck against Keating.
Goods worked his way to the front. Barry forced to double back. Gives it to James. He switches, looks for and finds Ablett. Excellent mark.
Hardy, back a metre, Hardy.
Taken there by Luke Ablett, the son of Kevin and the nephew of Gary and Jeff. His kick finds O'Keefe.
Distant relation of Johnny. Or Kerry.
So again, the Swans taking their time as O'Keefe finds Goods, receives the handball back to half forward. Here's Voss to Black. And that's disposal number 20. And O'Keefe once again.
Mark's over here. Hang on, mate, to grab your mark.
Well, they've moved O'Keefe from pretty much the forward pocket where he's played most of the game up towards the wing, and young Powell playing deep forward, trying to drag Chris Johnson away from the ball.
Sean, back 1 metre, thank you.
And I have to do something about Johnson because I thought he was the playmaker for Brisbane in that third quarter.
So Ablett has the football once again. Crowd gets frustrated. Don't bother the Swans one iota. As he goes backwards and finds Barry.
Well, as much as anything, this just denies Brisbane the football, and they were starting to run hot in that third quarter.
Very wide to Goods. Was it out? The Brisbane bench say it was, and the boundary umpire agrees. So it's Scott's ball. We're told he's wearing soccer star Christian Vieri's boots tonight, which have been shipped out for him, and he likes them. Lepic drives Brisbane forward. Pike again.
The kick was the killer for Sydney. It was such a hard, flat, penetrating kick by Lepic that Pike read better than anybody. He was in the back position and virtually didn't get off the ground, just read the flight of the ball better than anybody else.
We'll get him that 100 tonight, Tim.
We might. Has anyone played in 4 premierships and kicked 100 goals? Pike puts the Lions back in front. He's on 99.
Let's have a look at this. Lepic takes off, carries the ball 20 metres, and then it's a long, hard, flat kick that Pike reads to perfection.
So the reigning champs back in front by a point. 66 plays 65. Charman and Goods go at it. Well read by Goods. Here's McVeigh in his first game. He went round the corner, was clever, just didn't quite come off. Roberts Thompson can't get there before the boundary.
I would think Jared McVeigh has shown enough in his first game of AFL to suggest that he's going to be a quality player, like what he's done.
So 40 out from the Swans goals. It's going to be Hall and Michael contest this one. Michael comes straight to Kirk. Kick out of the pack by Bolton is on the full.
Bolton running with Voss early part of this final quarter.
Up to 21 disposals, Adam Goods, which is the game high.
Been a very good game for Justin Leppich. Hasn't played a lot pre-season and virtually been on the ground, I think, every minute.
Yep. Brisbane by a point, as it was at three-quarter time. Leppich to a contest, Goods and Charman. Voss desperately giving Brisbane some metres, if not possession. Ackermanis, nice little hit. His opponent Crouch taking it over the line.
Off the ball, McVeigh got a nice initiation from Brad Scott. He didn't take a backward step either.
Charman and Goods. Goods winning. Kirk collecting. Lovely hand pass to Williams. Sydney dangerous here. Good delivery. No, just too strong for O'Keefe. Still a chance. Well wrapped up by Johnson, who wins the football with desperate determination. Voss, White and Maxfield, and White wins. Brisbane winning the crunch contest now. Black gives it back to White.
Gee, it was good work by Brisbane. Just bash and crash and desperation stuff to get that ball 60 metres downfield. And a bit of biffo there with Brad Scott and young McVeigh.
Stood his ground, McVeigh. Good on him.
He did all right. He broke even.
Goods, the tap was a good one to Crouch. Clever little dinky handball over the top to Bolton. Can Sydney set something up here? He looks for O'Loughlin. Got both hands on the ball but couldn't hang on to it. Ackermanis.
Yeah, good mark. Stood his ground.
Gave it to Voss. Voss, good kick to Caracella.
Sensational kick to Caracella. Centimetre perfect.
There's a trademark on that one, Robert.
I thought that as soon as I said it.
Kick to the goal square, back of the pack. And it's a rush behind.
Times like that, defenders are very glad of the fact that the three-point penalty doesn't apply in this competition.
And again we see Chris Johnson. He always plays that 15-20 metres in front of his opponent. Frustrating for his opponent because he thinks he needs to move up on him. As soon as he does that, Johnson will push another 20-30 metres towards the middle of the ground. Finally gets what he wants, and that is to be in the thick of the action.
Beautiful kick by Craig Bolton. Just about reached the 50 and hit Luke Ablett out near the boundary line.
Just wonder if Voss will play the full quarter. He's been taken off halfway through the first, second and third quarters.
Not much there for Sydney. Pike doing some scouting now. Not quite finding Caracella. If Brisbane kick the next goal, it's a long way back for Sydney.
Goods. It's all wrapped up. So we'll have a bounce. 21 touches to Adam Goods, 21 to Williams. For Brisbane, Black has also got 21. Saddington.
It's becoming a test of strength, isn't it? One ruck contest after the other. Players crashing into each other. Plenty of numbers around the ball.
Come on, boys.
Here's Black for disposal number 22. Swings onto the left. A bullet-like pass into the pocket finds Bradshaw to Pike. Pike's dispossessed well by McVeigh. Great pick-up by Fosdyke to Williams to McVeigh. Sydney out of trouble. Now Goods. Got Maxfield in support. Can he get past Caracella? He can't. Good tackle. In there is Powell. Back to McVeigh. Good hard running by the youngster. Ships it to half forward. Bolton comes in front of Hall and takes the mark. And could well be within range here, about 51 metres out.
Well, the fast break they desperately needed, Sydney, from the half-back line, and the run and the carry and the handball, and then the short kick, it was directed towards Barry Hall. Bolton had every right to jump in. This is typical Brisbane ruck work, the big punch forward, just bash and crash it forward. Simple but highly effective football.
This will put Sydney back in front. Bolton, good looking kick. It's a goal.
Tremendous effort on 3.5 quarter legs. They'd be weary.
And the big punch forward by Charman. The rebound out of defence. Did well there to keep his balance, Powell. Short handball. 2 youngsters there for Sydney. And McVeigh just chipping across there to Barry Hall. Bolton intercepting.
Swans by 4 points. Christy Malthouse.
Adam Goods just came off the ground, doubled over. He looked absolutely exhausted. Although looking at the replay, he may have popped a stray hand in the stomach too, which wouldn't have helped.
Voss, desperate win away for Brisbane. But Sydney hold it up. Williams now. Just missing the target there. Lepic on the maraud. Bolton and Voss, a couple of great competitors. And that was the best Voss could do that time.
Have a look at Bolton. He has really muscled up, done a heap of work the last couple of years to build strength into that body. And he's one of the gun midfielders in the competition now.
A fresh Jason ball could be handy here. Down to Fosdyke was good. Hall in front. Michael, a sweet fist to Lepic. And that is a thumping kick for Ackermanis. His second strong mark in the last 5 or 6 minutes. Away he goes. Finding kick. And McRae can line them up and win back the lead for the Lions.
I'd love to say that was a pass, Tim. It wasn't. But when the ball comes in hard and low like that, it's 50-50, and the forwards won't argue about that. Give me a 50-50 chance anytime by getting it in quick. And little McRae, you'd be surprised if he missed.
We're not. He's done it. Brisbane in front. Well, it's becoming a clash of the Titans now.
Swings onto that left foot. Happy to go either side is Jason Ackermanis. Didn't quite connect with it, but good enough for McRae to win it from that front position. And he was always going to kick it.
The lead continues to seesaw. Brisbane in front by 2 points. Keating the tap. Voss. Right in the middle of it.
Just a master Voss at winning hard ball in close. And has played the first 14 minutes of this final quarter. We'll just see if Brisbane can get that belt forward. That's what they'll be after with numbers running onto it.
Black.
That's it.
Superb effort. Notting. Lappin. Looking for Pike. Not this time. Still might get it though. Bolton to Fosdyke to Kirk. Back to Fosdyke, and he goes short and finds Williams.
Oh, it's got to be 50. Got to be 50. What's going through Blake Carousella's mind?
Now, will this take Williams to within range?
Well, he's a thumping long kick.
Not that long though. He's about 70 out from goal. What causes that? Is that battle fatigue?
Well, you just wonder if he thought he heard the umpire call play on, because there was no other reason to do it.
Williams has got a Lachlan short.
And again, Darryl White just zoning off.
Still too far out to score. He's looking for Goods. It was a clever kick. Goods couldn't hang on to it. Now Lepic, he's had a great game for Brisbane. Just blazes away. Gets about 65 metres with the kick. Ackermanis and Pike are both there. Both got a bad bounce. Crouch got the free kick, but advantage paid to Williams. Good kick and finds Ablett.
And Sydney continue to press. Every goal in this last quarter has changed the lead. There have been 4 of them. Sydney looking for a 5th to win it back. Plenty of time left. Maxfield still well outside range. Hall is one target, but it's a flooded 50. And Sydney's patience again to the fore. Williams very short for O'Keefe. That makes it hard.
And that's it, Tim. You go for 2, 3, 4, and you just cannot afford to miss the target. And we've seen Sydney put balls out of bounds on the full. That one dropped short, and it is just hard to sustain the skill level.
Lions by 2 points. Sydney beat them 2 out of 3 last year. They beat them here. Can they do it again? Ball is getting taller as it wears on. Fosdyke to Maxfield. Oh, brave effort in front by McGrath. 1 turn too many, but he got it high. And it's his ball. Otherwise, Kurt was running into an open goal.
McGrath wastes no time as he finds Lappin on defensive 50. To Johnson. To White. He shows a bit of dash. He has 2 bounces. Takes it into the middle of the Gabba. Looks for Charman. Well spoilt by James. Now Crouch. He's had a great battle with Ackermanis. To Ablett. Long kick. Outnumbered is O'Keefe. Goods comes in to lend some support. Good effort by Lepic again to dispossess. And we have a throw in Sydney's forward pocket. The Lions in front by 2 points. Goods is a tired man. He's battled his heart out.
Just seeing the experience of that Brisbane defence. White, Johnson, Lepic, Lappin, time and again just running it out, linking up as well as they have over a long, long period of time.
Can Sydney create a goal against it? Keating climbing in third in line. Ball up. Still it's the Lions by 2 points. Still plenty of time.
We'll just see again Brisbane hit forward and a swarm of numbers running in the Brisbane direction.
Keating beats ball this time.
Hold on to the jumper.
Which way is this going? It's going.
Holding on to the jumper.
Sydney's way to O'Loughlin. Well, that's a big call from umpire Martin Ellis. O'Loughlin can line them up.
Well, let's have a look at it. Darryl White holding the jumper. Just a hold, but enough for the umpire to see.
If they pay the ball, you can't argue. Jude Bolton doesn't want to do anything silly here. All the pressure on Michael O'Loughlin. There's a kick to call, son.
Let him go! Let him go!
And Michael Ross goading. Cajoling. O'Loughlin kicking a goal. Swans back in front.
Well, look at Paul Roos. He's cool, calm, collected every time the camera goes onto him. And that was a pressure goal by Michael O'Loughlin. Hasn't really had a great game, but always looms dangerous in that forward line.
It is the Swans back in front, courtesy of the Michael O'Loughlin goal. 77 plays 73. Can the champions respond yet again? Bursting through the middle is Notting. Handballs to Voss. Voss finds Hart. The 2 veterans combine. Hart wastes no time. Onto the left boot. Goes long. Tip of the goal square. Brennan flew. Couldn't hang on to it. And James concedes the point.
Did pretty well there, James, to push that through for a behind. Had he gone the other side of that post, it would have been deliberate out of bounds.
3 points in favour of the Swans.
I reckon one day on this ground, Jared Brennan is going to fly about as high as Brett Allison did. He's got some spring. Swans work it. Fosdyke. This has become an epic. Sydney 77, Brisbane 74. 5 last quarter goals. Each one has changed the lead. Nick Fosdyke. in the ball direction, but over the top Leppich very nearly outmarked him. Black, lovely hands to Voss, to nobody. Well, he saw someone I did not in danger is here. And Brisbane press once more. How will it fall? Lapham. The wrong man. Gave it to Barry. Now to Saddington. Swans have got to do everything right. Craig Bolton, the former Lion. Johnson just using the hit nicely, but might have opened the door for Crouch. A foot race, but the ball kills it off by sliding over the line. And Jared Crouch is spent. This has been a desperate struggle in Brisbane early season conditions.
He's had a fair last quarter, Robert, is Ablett.
Ablett's been good, yeah. I reckon Notting's been good too for Brisbane. Just got really good pace.
Ball the tap. Ended up with the football in his hands. Puts it to the 50. Class act.
Oh, well, the body work is just perfect. Just perfect.
Johnson again. He's got Carousel free. He ignores him. Chris Johnson. Now the lead comes from Ackermanis.
Yeah, Crouch is really struggling to go with him.
Sydney in front by 3 points. Not far away from the 5-minute warning. Goes the long option. Keating against Ball. Bolton for Sydney. He's got support left and right. Decides to opt for Williams. Good kick to Ablett. He can run on here, Ablett. Will he go for O'Loughlin? He goes into the pocket for Goods. Throw in.
Yes, it's getting just a little tense here at the Gabba. 3 3/4 quarters of absolutely absorbing football.
Interesting ruck contest, Tim. Barry Hall against Mel Michael. You would think that Hall would win.
But he wrestles in and gives away a free kick.
Grab him, drag him out of the way. No, you got the free kick. No, you got the free kick.
Settle down, Barry. Everyone could do with a cold shower. Well, there might be some ice baths taken after this match. 5 minutes left. Sydney by 3 points. Brisbane defending here. Michael going perilously wide. Right to the brink, and now it's over for a throw-in.
Well, Brisbane don't want to kick to a contest now. In fact, we've seen both sides decide that we'll try to keep possession at all costs.
Well, it's the Swans with their noses in front by 3 points. So it's Brisbane who have to take the risks. Carousel. Here come the Lions. It's an ordinary kick inside 50. Camp underneath it. Was Bolton, couldn't mark it. Here's Pike. Back to Carousel. Directly in front. Carousel's got it. Lions in front.
And it all stemmed from the ruck contest across half-back for Brisbane. Just with the flow of the ball going Brisbane's way and just a swarm of players. Now Carousel finishes off, but it all started much further back than that with a Brisbane front forward and then a wave of Brisbane runners ascending on the football, getting the handball out, and you can see Mel Michael's jumper just about ripped off him.
Now the acid on Sydney. Goods with a backhander. Oh, it's a hard tackle. Will Williams be able to take his kick? He will. And the ball following Martin Ellis at the moment. He's made a consistent string of courageous and correct decisions.
The old-fashioned coat hanger, that one, Tim.
It was. I don't suppose that one was too hard for the umpire. Now Williams to drive Sydney forward. Now Jude Bolton. Brisbane back in numbers. Lions by 3 points. Still tied, but goals so hard to come by. Goes via the Cape. Here comes Ball. Had to go to spoil. Not much at ground level for Brisbane. Oh, Roberts Thompson poleaxed. Lepich works it out. Black, Voss, the old form. Get the champions out of trouble. And the greatest of them all, Davis perfectly to Martin Pike, who is just about the oldest of them all. Brisbane hang on by 3 points with not many minutes left.
Pike drills it as long as he possibly can. Ackermanis flies back to the Packers. McVeigh under pressure. Got held. Free kick. Time for the Swans. It's only round one.
Been a terrific game. Good goal for goal this last quarter.
Maxfield's been pretty quiet. Finds Barry. He's got some room to work with. Sidesteps Brennan. Or can he? Runs back into trouble. Well, some tired bodies out there. Here's Bolton to Goods. Goods goes to Big Talk. To half forward into open territory. It's all Brisbane. Lepich will get there first. Got Michael in support.
See him backing back, backs back to buy time, just to see what's in front of him.
McGrath, a little undergrounder. And they got themselves in trouble their lines, but they've eaten up some time on the clock. 27 minutes have almost expired, and it's the Lions in front, 80 to Sydney 77.
And we're doing it the old-fashioned way, as we do on Network 10 without the countdown clock. Voss, well tackled. The hand pass managed to find White and Black, but still Sydney a chance. Bolton mown down from behind. Kirk down for Sydney, also mown down. McRae of Brisbane, it is desperation time. Jared Crouch on those legs that were racked with cramp just minutes ago. Drives the Swans forward one more time. It is 150th.
Oh, dear me.
Jason Ball.
Cracker, isn't it? Well, for a period there, 4 blokes were pulled off the foot. He couldn't get a kick to it. And Jared Crouch backed himself, ran bounce, carried. Ball had the perfect sit on the pack. Will he be able to finish off?
His season ended prematurely last year with a shoulder injury. He reaches game 150. He's 47th with the Swans to give them the lead. He has missed it big. The Lions lead by 2 points. Crushing disappointment for Jason Ball and the Swans.
Sydney runner out, getting to every player, telling them there's only a matter of maybe 1 or 2 minutes to go.
Well, they couldn't man up from the kick in, and now someone's got to get on the mark.
Well, no one's on the mark.
So Michael will just stand there. Got to man up Sydney. There still might be time.
In the end, could get beaten Sydney by their own game.
Brisbane by 2 points. McManus gets away from Crouch. That might be enough. And Acker's in no hurry whatsoever.
Yes, and Craig Starcevich, Brisbane runner, out to Ackermanis. Ackermanis indicating he will kick it long down the line. He will go towards the boundary line, and Charman will probably try to belt it out of bounds.
Hall is there for Sydney. Bolton. Knotting Lappin. Puts Brisbane inside 50. Pike against Barry. One-on-one. Great tussle. Brennan tries to pick it up. Here's Pike. Great tackle, Barry. Umpire will bounce. There's the siren. And the Brisbane Lions have won a classic. By 2 points over the Sydney Swans. They could have pinched it at the death. But Jason Ball shanked his kick. And the Lions have won by 2.
And Michael Voss played the last quarter in its entirety, and one of the main reasons why Brisbane got up, his in-close work was fantastic. Every kick that he had hit the target as he went forward, and just the good old-fashioned ruck work of Brisbane in that last quarter got them over the line. A lot of respect shown by the players from both sides to each other. It was a really hard fought out game.
Brad McEwen is with Justin Leppich.
Lepper, mate, what a fantastic win by the Lions.
Oh, well, look, I think we had our wake-up call at half-time, didn't we? We were playing like millionaires for a while there, but the boys really stuck it out, and look, it's really pleasing to win a close one.
So many old heads in the team, yourself, Bossy, Pikey, you all stood up.
I like that old mate. That's true. Pikey was fantastic across that half-forward line today, but we really had to dig deep. Swannies are a fantastic running side, and just to contain them's hard enough.
Good on you, Lepper. All the best.
Thank you.
What a game he played, Robert Wolsey. He wasn't expected to play round one, but when Lynch went down with injury, he didn't have much choice.
Lynch out, Jonathan Brown out. I thought Justin Leppich was wonderful tonight.
He must be the loneliest man out there at this moment, Jason Ball, who had that opportunity to win the game. In his 150th, what desolation he must be in.
Well, that's what you dream about as a kid, Tim, isn't it? That you take the mark and you kick the winning goal. He had his opportunity and he missed. He missed by a long way in the end.
So round one at the Gabba. The Brisbane Lions have defeated the Swans by just 2 points. We'll take a break. Back with more in a moment.